To the podcast, guys. Today we are joined by Reena Sooch, who is the partner at Day One Strategy. So, welcome to the podcast, Reena. Why don't you start by just telling us a bit about yourself and what you guys do at Day One Strategy?
Thank you, Jordan, for the invite. So, Day One Strategy is dedicated to working in life sciences and healthcare. My personal entire career, 16 years or so, has been working in this space. And we really focus on the part of the drug life cycle when it's coming to launch. So when a drug hits phase 3 and then it's considering, okay, what's going to be my launch strategy? What's my value proposition? How do I now communicate that value proposition to doctors and patients and KOLs? Then a company like ours, Day One Strategy, we like to be the strategic partner to those clients and think about how can we optimize for launch. Our heritage is in insights and data and research. So the whole team really are grounded in that research ethic. But we are really now, with the advent of AI, even more so, really focused on that strategic impact. Like, how can we move you from not just this is what market says, but this is what you should do. That's kind of our obsession inside Day One Strategy right now.
Okay, and so you touched on data and AI, and so how are you thinking about AI and how are you using it inside some of the strategy at Day One?
So we've been on a journey, as I think everybody is, and it continues, right? So the proposition of Day One was always around technology. So believe it or not, 7 years ago when the company got set up, doing a Zoom call was revolutionary for an interview. We were still very much going into central locations and having conversations. The world hadn't moved like it has now. So we were well placed because we're technology focused. But we know that we're not, me personally and others in the team are not data scientists, and we've not had a heritage of working in AI. So what we did is we went out and we found partners and thought leaders to learn. And one of the partners is Dr. Mike Houseman. He's quite well known and his content is pretty brilliant. So do check him out. But working with Dr. Mike Houseman opened my eyes to the possibilities and opportunities of creating small language models, domain specific small language models. I think there's great brilliance in large language models as they are. So you can use a chat GPT. I mean, Claude is having its big moment, and Gemini to do great hypothesis, brainstorming, get that content straight and all that, I think is brilliant, but it's not for accuracy of a decision. So we have had to take quite a deep journey in understanding how can we, for a brand that's launching in market, create a domain specific model that then really helps accelerate, okay, what do we know about the market we're about to go into based on all the data in the model? And then how can we simulate different scenarios for the future of, if you do scenario A, this could be the impact, and scenario B, this could be the impact, taking the signals from the market and give you a confidence score that this is a reliable answer. So that for us has been the journey, and it's the success that we're seeing is in these brand models. And what we've wrapped that into is something called Insight Brain. So for us, the Insight Brain is all of our frameworks, all of our thinking. So tomorrow you want to build a communication campaign to attract pulmonologists on a new drug that's coming out. We will be able to get you revved up with your data and create synthetic personas to generate those communication strategies, those message houses, the content. We still test it in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
We still need to talk to humans. That's not going away. But you're able to accelerate. And the acceleration, I tell you no lie, is a 9-month process being condensed down to a 3-month process. That's the level of difference that we're seeing.
Okay, and so I remember speaking to a couple of SaaS founders a little while back that have just kind of taken that product where they have synthetic avatars where they can ask questions to and do deep research with. Is that something that you have internally created, or are you using third parties? Is it a bit of both, or yeah?
Believe in partnership. We like to partner with different companies who have the experience, expertise, like AI engineers and understanding of like what data really is.
Yeah.
We are not a SaaS products provider, so everything we do is custom, so custom modules and builds. And for us, we don't lead the technology. We give the access to the technology, but we very much service around it. So for us, no matter what happens in life, Jordan, we still give people PowerPoint slides because it all comes down to a PowerPoint slide at the end of the day. No matter how whizzy your model is, everyone's got to present a slide deck.
I see. Okay. I mean, yeah, even me, I'm creating maybe not in PowerPoint, I'm using Claude, but yeah, definitely still using the PowerPoint slides here.
Yeah.
So, what do you think have been the biggest challenges that you've overcome in, let's say, the last 12 months?
Market perception, market confidence. We did because we're researchers, of course, we did a study um, early last year, similar time, and we're repeating it now, where we just took a pulse of the market. So we spoke to, I think it was 13 different pharma companies, leaders of insights and analytics within those companies. And the market was very clearly segmented. There was the curious but not sure, the trailblazers who were trialing things, and then there was the kind of skeptics. And I'd say the skeptics bucket was pretty was skeptics and curious were the largest buckets at that time. I think that has shifted and changed as now case studies, use cases have come up. Inside of organizations, there's been a bigger push as well that we need to go down this road. You need to think about the use of AI. I've now seen even the skeptics coming in with RFPs asking for AI or coming to us with that idea of let's see what you can do. And the curious lot have actually now fully kind of come in. And so I feel like the market has been one of the biggest things, getting people on board. I think quality of data is the fight of the future and the fight now, because we have to be so careful around getting into like a synthetic echo chamber of things, because you're taking historical data, then you're simulating on top of that. There's now a lot of other external sources you have to vet to kind of decide if they're quality or not. So for me, I think we're more and more seeing the importance of, okay, what are the cleanest data sets that we can really apply, and what can we go out to collect that's genuinely new and differentiating?
Okay. And so, what do you think? Like, how have you let people know that you guys exist? Like, how are you approaching client acquisition? I guess is a better way of putting it.
So it's a mixed strategy. So one is just getting in front of procurement teams in the large organizations, because they're really the communication headquarters to say about, have you thought about this company and what have you. It's very, very difficult to get on the roster to work with life sciences companies. So half the battle is that, right? But we're in a fortunate position where we now have a number of those opportunities, but it's still, you've got to go on foot in those companies and do lunch and learns and kind of ask, to give case studies. The other way we're doing it is we do our own webinars where we invite our clients, and they're hosted on a platform we have called AI Navigator. This is in partnership with Dr. Mike Houseman. So House comes on and does the demos of what's new in the market. And so we can see the latest and greatest in terms of tools and solutions. And then we go and do a case study with a client. So we'll show the latest work we've just done with GSK, which we just did last month, or a Sanofi. And then the other part of it is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is many people have different views about it, but I think still is probably one of the strongest places for B2B. So promoting content, thought leadership across that, and engaging with content on that has been effective for us.
Okay. So LinkedIn has been effective. Is there anything that you've tried which has been not nearly as effective?
Yeah, mail outs, just cold going for like just getting acquisition of client contacts and sending out content and looking for conversion. I think there's a whole thing around email traffic for people that it's much harder now to get in the inbox and get the click for someone to say, oh yeah, I'm really interested to chat to you about this. So I feel unless people have a recommendation, or because the sophistication of personalization now, even headlines or subject lines which have something in them are not necessarily enough anymore for people to click and say, I want a meeting.
Yeah. Obviously, like email is sort of our bread and butter, and what we have found is that almost like 80% of the time, the reason email stops working is because of the infrastructure being basically destroyed because Google or Microsoft just changed something overnight. So deliverability is half the battle. So that was a massive unlock for us a little while ago, fixing deliverability, and all of a sudden start to get replies again. So, for anybody listening, to address that first and then the offer, and you'd be shocked at how people respond if you don't spam them and just try and cram a sales message down their throat.
Mm.
Cool, Rena. So what are some of the main priorities for the rest of 2026 then?
I think one part of it is definitely pushing harder on what we're learning already around what we can do with brand strategy for clients. So we've seen that we can really disrupt communications, really think about, okay, how do I get this communication out sooner? The other part that we're quite excited about is the competitor part. So for many years, for many centuries of years, you'd have all these documents that your CI team collect and they're in a SharePoint and they get, utilized in the odd meeting. But what you're not doing is linking that CI data to your brand strategy and saying, okay, how defensible really is it? How strong is our strategic moves? And also bear in mind, they're moving all the time. So that's already based on a month before strategy. So we're working hard on how do we create the right competitive signals that actually come back and give you a strategic answer of these are the things you need to change. Make this tweak because your competition are now doing this. And we're trying to see in a pilot now whether that can actually make a huge difference or not. It's very hard to get things moving quickly in the world of life sciences. That's one of my personal challenges.
Okay. And that makes sense. So, a question I like to ask then is if you had a time machine, right? You could go back to the beginning of your journey, something that you might change now that you have the gift of hindsight.
Oof, that change. I think where every decision leads you to where you are, right? So it's not really a change. I mean, I think learn a ton, and but it's all that you wouldn't have the development you've had if you haven't had the parts which didn't quite work out for you. So I wouldn't say there's anything I would change in the time machine. I think the things that have really helped propel for me personally have been taking risks and being entrepreneurial. I don't think you can make leaps if you stand still. And I also believe in partnership. Like the best success stories I've had over the years is in finding partners and knowing that, there's skill sets they have that we don't. And we should really come together and try and, accelerate that. So they're the things that I definitely have seen, okay, I did that really worked and lent in more to those things.
Okay, really good advice. And then finally, Rena, if you had a magic wand, right, and we could wave it over one big problem right now and solve it just like that, what do you think that big problem would be? So not
My
like what hunger, but for day one.
magic wand. I think it would be the ability to, showcase what we can do at a larger scale, right? We're a growing company with certain resources. And I think the stuff that we're doing is really like cutting edge. So I'd a magic one right now. I'd love for this to be, front stage and center so that the C-suites around the globe know that this stuff can happen, it can disrupt, it can change. There's also so much noise. It's very tough. You're being told different things about different companies and suppliers. Everyone's selling. So it's how do you cut through and find the right match? We're not the right match for everyone. The market's big enough. But I'd love just to find more of the people that sit in our mindset that we can take data and do so much more with it. And we can be far more edgy with how we do our brand strategy.
Okay, I love that. And so if there are people that are listening and they want to check out what Day One does, or maybe they want to connect with you, maybe where can they go or how can they connect?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best thing. I also drop a line there. Join the AI Navigator on the Day One Strategy website. And yeah, just get in touch. Always happy to speak.
Perfect. I'll make sure to leave links in the description. But thank you for coming on and sharing your insights, Rena. Very interesting field. I think you're the first person in life sciences that we've had on, so I appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.